Hi guys, Naha here. Welcome back. So I know things look a little bit different today, and I'll tell you why. You know, when I started this channel, it was just because I needed a hobby. All I do is work, and I love my work. As a professional tarot reader, a teacher, and a healer, my work is my playground, it's my school, it's my pastime. And it is so much more than just a job for me. There's really no separation between my work and my life. It's very all-encompassing. But like any normal human, I do need to have some balance. And so that's why I started this channel. You know, it wasn't to make money. It wasn't to promote myself. I don't really need to do that. But what I did want to do is be able to share something with you guys, be able to share these decks that I have, because otherwise, you know, people may not be able to see them. They're not decks that I read with. I have very few select decks that I actually use for clients. But after putting up videos for a couple of months, you know, I wanted to bring something that was a little bit better quality. So I saved up my money and I bought a nice camera. And if you saw my last video, you saw, you know, that I don't know if it's that I don't know how to do the settings correctly or what it is, but I wasn't able to make it work for the kind of format that this is. So I'm kind of back to square one, and I'm not really worried about it. You know, I'm not here to be a professional filmmaker or a professional YouTuber for that matter. If you guys like these videos and you keep coming back, that's all that I care about. So I'm here tonight. You know, I do want to thank you guys for those of you who have subscribed and are supporting this channel and enjoying it. I really do hope to build this into even more of a fun community to be able to answer your questions. I know there have been some different questions that have been asked in the comments, and I encourage that. And eventually I would like to make a video where I can address a lot of those questions that may have gone unanswered. But tonight, let's open a deck. Okay, so this deck is coming from Krakow, Poland. There's no indicator here of where exactly I might have ordered this from. I'm not exactly sure. I think I might have gotten this deck on Etsy. It doesn't have an eBay label, so let's go ahead and open it. All right. Wow. Take a look. Against us. For a second I thought it said against US. And then in small print it says, the truth is rarely pure and never simple. And then I turned it around and it says, with us. And the same line underneath it. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Very esoteric. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, very cool. So this deck, I'll just give you guys a little view of things here. This is called the Spiritus Mundi Tarot deck, and this was created by Baba Studios, and I believe it to be the first deck ever created by that tarot studio. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about this. First of all, Baba Studios is a really celebrated tarot publisher, and it's actually a couple. I believe their names are Karen Mahoney, I think she's the artist, I could be wrong, and Alexander, and they're a team, and they are based in Prague. So Prague, of course, having a very rich history in magic and alchemy and things of that nature. I have a few decks of theirs. I have a Victorian tarot, and I also have the Tarot of Prague, which is great, and I hope to show you on a coming video. And so their decks are, most of them are always published very limited edition, and they're extremely hard to get. If you look for their decks, a lot of them are they're very expensive. And I actually had never heard of this deck because I don't think it's on their website, even saying sold out. But I do believe that this may have been the first deck that they ever released. So Spiritus Mundi, that means the world spirit. Mundi, it's Latin, world spirit. And this was a term that was actually used by W.B. Yeats, William Butler Yeats, the Irish poet and ceremonial magician. Of course, he was a member of the Golden Dawn. And he called the Spiritus Mundi the soul of the world, the collective memory, all things that have ever happened in human consciousness that serves as an inspiration to the poet. Now, on the side here, it says September 11th, 2001, and I believe that there's something about this deck that maybe it came out right after the attacks on September 11th as some kind of an artistic reply to the state of the world at that time. Now, I got a very interesting, right off the bat, I mean, it says hate right here, and you can see some different kinds of statements, some propaganda, and I think that this is actually very timely for a question, an email that I got today. So a girl had written to me, and she said that she was having a problem with her tarot cards, that she had used oracle cards in the past, and that she had just bought her first tarot deck. And she said that when she pulled her deck out, even though she'd had readings before and always enjoyed her readings, when she looked at the tarot cards herself, she was always left with a bad feeling. She didn't know why. She said, is there something wrong with my deck? Is it bad? Why do I feel uncomfortable and negative after looking at it? And so I thought about this for a second, and I said, you know what? I think this has something to do with the fact that she had gone from oracle cards to tarot cards. So oracle cards, if you don't know, are different than tarot cards in the fact that they typically have there's not a system of suits and major arcana. There's usually between 36 or maybe up to 60 different cards that can stand alone. And one of the differences between them also and tarot is that there typically is no negative cards in an oracle deck. Now, there's exceptions, but for the most part, many oracle decks that you see, every card is a positive message. Every card is an affirmation. Every card is beautiful and is uplifting. And with tarot, that is just not the case. Tarot is the full spectrum of all of human experience, the good and the bad and the ugly. And so I could imagine that somebody going from an oracle deck where they don't have to worry about seeing something that's going to be unsettling, suddenly looking at a tarot deck and maybe pulling the 8, 9, 10 of swords, or the 10 of wands, or the 3 of swords, or the death card, or the devil card, or the tower card, that, yeah, it might seem like, whoa, these are much, much more negative. So, I just suggested to her that that what you're looking at here is an all-encompassing view of life with its challenges, not only its blessings. And if you can look at those difficult cards as opportunities for something that you either need to work on or something you need to let go of or something you need to move through, perhaps even a fear that you need to face, then that is actually giving you some understanding of what you can work on to actually make your life better, rather than just saying, oh, everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything's flowers and angels and rainbows, because you guys, we know that to not be the case, right? So taking a look right off the bat at this deck, it seems like this might be a deck that could be having a little bit of unsettling imagery. And I'm sure that this deck is out of print. So let's just go ahead and take a look at it. It says on the side, 78 not quite tarot cards from around the world. Baba Studio, Prague, 2002. So yes, this would have come out right after September 11th. And of course, by opening this, I am ruining whatever potential value this deck might have as being unopened, and that's not why I'm collecting decks. You know, I used to be really into collecting action figures, and actually still have some of my action figure collections that are unopened and still in the box, and I just can't do that with the cards. I buy them to look at them and enjoy them, and not to just keep them for some kind of later down the road resale value. So you see also on the front here, the statement, with us, against us. And I don't know, I mean, maybe there is supposed to be like an inference of the fact that it's us, US, and then on the back here, trust, with the flag dripping. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. And this is a total departure from the other decks that are created by Baba Studios, which is maybe why they don't have them on their website, because all of the rest of their decks are very, very beautiful and not edgy in the way that these are. Okay, there's a title card. And we're just going to look at these together. The events of September 10th, 2001. The first, there's a bunch of statistics here. The first one says 1,970,000,000 Marlboro cigarette butts shipped outside the U.S. Goes on about Coca-Cola, McDonald's, 2,700 Africans killed by untreated malaria, 72 species made extinct. All right, that's making quite a statement. This next card, it says powerlessness, noun, lack of ability, the condition or state of being incapable of accomplishing or affecting anything, helplessness. The next card, the rules of war. Apologize when you kill the innocent. Do not use torture unless you really have to. If you're not for us, you're against us. Okay, anything goes. It's kind of interesting. I've never seen a deck where the cards go sideways. So I can see why they call this a not so tarot deck, right? They seem to be these statements. I will be your shelter. I will protect you from danger. So some of these seem to be very difficult messages, and then some of them are not. Here's one that says, freedom to believe. And actually, I imagine this to be much more like an oracle deck. Here's a card that says sacrifice, unite, action. Yeah, these are much more how you would see an oracle deck, where you have the artist has the freedom to make whatever sort of statements or concepts. Here's a quote from Gandhi. There are times when even the most keen eye cannot notice where the politics ends and the war starts. This card says disguise. And that one, the opposite alignment. Terrorism, use of violence and intimidation. Outrage. And here is the card of empathy. So I definitely see that this deck is an artistic statement. I can see the end where they pulled this, the name for this, the Spiritus Mundi. just imagining the state of human consciousness at this time after this catastrophic event. You know, I had such a very strange thing happen to me the morning of 9/11. And I remember that morning, I had an alarm clock radio in my bedroom, and I never ever set that alarm for the radio. I always set it to the beep, 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 because the radio never woke me up. And I also didn't have any reason to be waking up super early. But for whatever reason, on that morning, my radio clicked on, and it was just the strangest thing. And I remember being asleep and hearing, you know, when sometimes the music goes on or a radio, and it starts kind of crossing over with your dream. And that's what started happening. And it was a news report, and it was a live news report of right after the first plane had hit, and it was, of course, it was on, and I was dreaming what I was listening to and the turmoil, and I kind of like started waking up, and I was so confused. Like, first of all, why is my radio on? What turned it on? And secondly, what is this? Because it was just really hard. It was very disorienting to figure out. And then as I began to realize this was an actual news report, it was just completely unbelievable, you know. I was living in Seattle at the time, and I think, you know, obviously not being as personally affected as people that were right there at ground zero and lost loved ones. But definitely, you know, that affected the whole world. And just such a, you know, the most traumatic world event of my lifetime so far. So it's very interesting to look at these cards. And even though that's, you know, it's been 16 years since that happened, which is crazy to think of. I don't think that there's any lessening of the reality of how traumatic that was. And in a disconcerting way, you know, these messages are maybe even more than ever very relevant to what's going on in the world today. So, this cards is a quote from Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick. Faith, like a jackal, feeds among the tombs, and even from these dead doubts, she gathers her most vital hope. Here is a quote from Roshini. Loss, there is a hollow space too vast for words, through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. Let's take a look at the little book that this came with. And this says, these cards were produced by designers and artists from all over the world. Oh, interesting. Who responded to an open invitation to participate by giving their time freely to this collaborative project. This pack is published and limited and a numbered edition of 2,000 only. So I didn't see the number on here. So that's very interesting. Oh, it says right here. Some cards are very personal, others less so. Some designers even preferred not to be identified personally at all. You won't like every card. Whatever your opinions, you may find yourself strongly identifying with some cards. Others may well offend you or make you feel uncomfortable. But please see the pack as it is intended, a powerful expression of a wide variety of viewpoints, done in whatever style the maker considered the best form of communication. I think that's fantastic. The Spiritus Mundi is not at all like a conventional tarot pack. It follows the simple structure of Central European fortune-telling cards, which are all based on single words. I think that what they're talking about may be like a Lenormand deck, where there's just one single word and an image to go along with it. And there is a explanation of the artist for each card, the title of the card, where that person came from. So we see Olga from Russia, Alexandra from Bosnia, Suzanne from the US, Angelica from Sweden, all being artists who contributed here. Well, this is fantastic and very useful in having a deeper understanding. And the last entry says personal. The artist says you, and the place is anywhere. This is your own card. To complete your Spiritus Mundi pack, add the word, the text, and the image that makes it personal to you. So these are definitely cards to make you think, to make you reflect. I do believe they could be used as a very powerful oracle. A deck like this isn't going to appeal to everyone. And you know, the reason why I wanted this deck is because I thought that it was something extremely important and extremely unique. And I'm not afraid to look at that contrasting aspect, dark side, the shadow side. I think that it is a part of our reality and a part of the world that we live in, and we don't need to be in denial about it. I think that there is an opportunity as people who have a little bit more responsibility, to have some accountability, to set an example, to get some control over our own judgments, our own negative projections, and ultimately to work on ourselves the most that we can in this lifetime. That is what the ceremonial magicians across time and alchemists call the great work, which is to have a sense of striving to be your highest self, to have unity with that. Some might call that unity with the divine. Somebody maybe not so spiritually minded can still work on that concept with a sense of refinement of the self to a higher vibration, to a higher level, to a more high state of perfection. So I encourage you guys to take that message forward and really work on being the best version of yourself that you can be. Thank you for taking a look at this very important deck, the Spiritus Mundi, and I'll see you guys soon. Please go ahead if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.